By the way, do you see Bo Nix and Sean Payton bark at each other? Did you laugh? You called it, by the way. You called it.
Yeah, I did. I had to chuckle a little bit, especially after our conversation from 2 weeks ago, where, Sean likes that, man. I mean, Bo Nix kind of, yells at him here and starts to walk away. And Sean's like, wait a minute, you get back here. We're not done. We're not done with this conversation. I think it's funny. I think the argument was, man, Sean was so particular about, man, we're like, hey, we're running this on the right hash into the formation, into boundary. Like, this is very exact because of how we want the alignment, or we want to create the leverage, or we want to create the matchup. So everything is very exact, right? And so I think that was this moment where I think Sean felt like he had, flipped the formation the wrong way, put it into the boundary when he wasn't supposed to. And I'm sure Bo was like, no, coach, I know exactly what you said. This is how we're going to run it, Sean loves that. I'm telling you, that's the old Parcells thing, man. Parcells wanted you to bark back at him. That's what Sean used to always say. Man, be passionate. Be sure about what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's funny. Even the coach on the sideline defends Bo Nix. If you watch it, he got Bo Nix worked up. He got the assistant worked up. They're both all barking at Sean. But you know what? It's that authenticity. Yeah. That is a big part of Sean Payton. It's you're all in. We're all in it together. This stuff can be. I've seen Andy Reid and Mahomes bark. Bottom line is Kobe and Phil barked. Folks, it's sports. It's live. Get it out. Don't suppress it. I loved it. I thought of you when I saw that. I thought, okay.
All right.
We got to ask Drew about that.
Okay. So I want to talk about this because I obviously wanted to highlight Drew Brees' reaction to it all, and, Bo Nix and all of that, because I think it's pretty funny because he predicted this. He talked about that before. And then I reviewed a couple other clips surrounding this big blow up on the sidelines that I pretty much, made fun of and was called nonsense because Shannon Sharp was like, this is a big deal, like Sean Payton's, he was talking about the love language and how if you're speaking Mandarin and the other person's speaking Spanish, it's not good or whatever. And it's like, here we have Drew Brees right here talking about it, laughing about it, and saying like, this is the way this goes. This is the way how you can maximize the relationship with Sean Payton. And I love what Colin said here about authenticity. And that is something that matters so much, because when Drew Brees talked about this before, about just the relationship between Bo Nix and Sean Payton and what needs to happen, he emphasized that he really wants it to be a two-way street, right? That it really needs to be a two-way street. You need to have the honesty. I need to know what you're thinking, what's going on. We got to have real communication here, real, true, honest back and forth. But I love now taking it to that next level of the authenticity. And this is something that I think we can all, speak on. Again, whether it be with work, family, whatever. It's like when we feel that someone's being inauthentic and we're not, because even if they're communicating a lot with us and being honest, if they're not truly being honest, if it's not truly authentic, then it's like, what are we doing here? And it can be frustrating. And and I've played with people as well, and I've had coaches and teammates where if it doesn't feel that they're in it with me, then it's like, what are we doing here? Right? Like if I feel like I care more than you, or that you just don't care in general, or your mind is elsewhere, then I'm like, what is going on here? Right? Like let's go. And it can go either way. Cause I remember I one time had a coach where something went wrong and he was upset, and I didn't have a big reaction to it because it was like, in my mind, I was like, yeah, I know this went wrong. I understand now. And like, I want to move on. Like I've already learned the lesson from it. I already got it. I'm ready to move on. I don't need to marinate in it. That was the way how I approach things. I don't need to marinate in this. I'm already going to beat myself up enough at home, in bed, leave me alone. Like I don't need to have this big blow up moment. And he was like mad because I wasn't reacting enough. And it was just like, what do you want me to do? You want me to pick up stuff and throw it and freak out? Like I hear what you're saying. I listened to everything you said. You've already yelled at me. You've already told me everything. Let me move on now. I'm on. I got to keep moving. Like that's my. And so again, it is figuring out how you are maximized individually as a player versus a coach. And so it is a dance. It is a dance of figuring that out. I was not the type of person who liked to be that fired up and emotional, because the less emotional I was, honestly, the better I was, because the more emotional I got, then I was barking at refs and stuff more, and it just, I got worse. So it is interesting. It is, and it's a very fascinating dance that I always find, just really, really entertaining to see kind of how it all unfolds. But I just love, though, at the minimum, you get from Bo Nix and Sean Payton that, again, these guys care. Like, that's the thing, they care, and that's what you didn't get from Russ, right? And I feel like, I think I may have highlighted that before, where it was like you had Russ and Sean Payton, and Sean Payton's like, look at this, what are you doing, and Russ, it was just like, right, it was like, no, I'm taking this all in, and I want to move forward. It was just kind of like, huh? Right? It was just like, are you even here with me right now? Like, do you even care? Do you even care about this moment? Because if you don't care, then I don't want to be around you. I don't want to be with you. Get out of here, right? Get out of here. And it's just like, again, I feel like even if you never played sports at a competitive level, you've probably had that moment somewhere in your life. Again, friends, family, jobs, whatever. And it's like, you just want to feel that you're in it with someone, that you're in it together. And Colin talks about that a lot as well, being in the foxhole with someone, being in the trenches. And it's something that I just really resonates with me tremendously. And so I think that's also ultimately what that moment highlights as well, with Sean Payton and Bo Nix on the sidelines. And just the fact, here's the other thing is, and this is what great coaches and great players for that matter bring, and this is what they kind of talked about Harbaugh when he came to the Chargers. It's the level of detail to things, right? It's the level of detail that these less players and these less than coaches don't bring. The level of detail. And we see that being highlighted with Sean Payton and Bo Nix. And so, to me, that is such a great indicator, right? When you have this level of detail and the intensity around the detail. And that's also kind of what Drew Brees was saying. He's like, he's so particular about where these things are. And it's like, that's what makes you successful in the NFL. The devil is always in the details, right? You always got to be hyper-focused. Andy Reid, hyper-focused. Patrick Mahomes, hyper-focused. Tom Brady, hyper-focused, right? All these greats are hyper-focused. And that's why they struggle sometimes playing with people who aren't as equally as hyper-focused. Kobe Bryant had a major problem with that, which I think I've highlighted plenty of times now, where he was frustrated when these other players weren't putting in the work. Like, he already had the quote where he's like, why am I going to pass you the ball? I've seen the work you do. I've seen you at practices. I see when you show up and I see when you leave. Like, you are not putting in the work. So no, I don't trust you in the final couple minutes because I know what you're doing. And so again, they struggle because not everyone can bring that hyper intensity to details, right? They just can't. Not everyone has that capacity. So the fact that Sean Payton obviously has already proven to have that, but now that you see Bo Nix heightened into it as well, that he's also I am about this, let's do this, and if I think what you're saying is wrong or right, we are going to get to the bottom of it. No, you're not going to just say this, then I'm going to say, okay, sure, no, we are going to reach the conclusion of this. We are going to figure out what is the truth of this moment, because that's what those emotions also show. It's what is the truth of this moment, right? I mean, how many times have you been in a fight with someone and they're maybe saying something that is wrong or whatever? And again, if you're not as engaged with it, you're like, okay, whatever, I don't care. But if it really matters to you, you're like, no, that's not what you said. That's not what happened. This is what happened. Stop, right? Like, you want to get to the truth of the moment. The intensity just rises. So the fact that both Bo Nix and Sean Payton want to get to the truth of the moment, that to me is probably the biggest indicator of what success can come moving forward. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Bo Nix and Sean Payton's just developing relationship as a whole? Not even just the sideline, fight or whatever we want to call it. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.